Hiya Rob, thanks for joining us today. Could you first of all tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do?
I am a children's author and children's illustrator too. So I write books, mainly picture books. So for younger children, Key Stage 1 children. So from about sort of 2 to the age of about 8, usually my books. And I draw all the pictures to go with them too. So, I'm greedy. I like to do both things. And that's what I do really. I spend most of my time either writing or drawing, or when we're not in lockdown, I do lots of school visits and I, visit literary festivals and I travel all over the world speaking to children, reading my stories. There we go. I feel like I've got one of the best jobs there is, really. Feel very lucky to be doing this.
What does the word resilience mean to you? And when have you had to be bouncy in your life?
To not give up on your dreams as well. And I guess that's how, in my life, that's how I've kind of been the most bouncy, I guess. Because when I first wanted to become an author, I had a very nice job. I used to work for lots of magazines and newspapers. I thought, actually, I'm going to write a children's book and it's probably going to be quite easy to get my book published. Well, it wasn't easy to get my book published. I didn't quite realise how difficult that was and how competitive it was. And it took me a long time. It took me about 4 years, maybe even 5 years, I think, from when I first wrote a children's book to when my first book came out. And I feel like I was very resilient during that time, because there was I came very, very close a lot of times to giving up because I just couldn't quite get a book over the line, But I didn't give up. I kept on going. I kept on practicing, and I really kept at it. And I was really determined, really resilient, and eventually it paid off, because that's what I do now. So I think that's my bounciest moment.
Lots of the Shed crew probably know you from Draw with Rob, the incredible resource that you developed and created online during the nation's lockdown in 2020. How did you come up with the idea, and what positive effects have you seen from getting the nation drawing?
It came about, I remember sitting on my sofa, I think it was a Sunday evening, we were watching the news, me and my wife, and it was just before lockdown, so it was in the middle of March, just before we went into full lockdown, but it was very much on the cards. We knew it was going to happen within the next week or so. And it suddenly struck me that there was going to be lots of parents who were going to be at home with their children, looking for things to do with their children. And so I thought, I think there's a way that I can maybe help those parents out and help those children out. And I've been doing draw-alongs at my live events for years, since I was first published back in 2014. And I'd even done a few online. I put a few kind of little draw-along things up online a few years before. And I thought, right, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to record myself, drawing a picture, show some children how to draw some of my characters very simply. And I was sitting on my sofa and I did a little tweet. I found one of my old videos and I sort of put it up there and then said, right, I'm thinking of doing this. What do you think? Is it a good idea? And the response that night was huge. I had a huge response from parents in particular. And so what I did that was on the Sunday. On the Monday, I recorded the first video and I put it up online on the Tuesday morning. And on the Wednesday, I was being interviewed on News at 10. It was crazy. I mean, it was crazy how quick people took to this thing. And yeah, it's been amazing. It's been absolutely amazing. I think lots of children who didn't think they could draw, because whenever I go to schools or whenever I'm at a literary festival, I always ask the audience, hands up who doesn't think they're very good at drawing. Lots of hands always go up and I say, well, do you know what? I think everybody can draw. It's just that sometimes some people need a little bit more help with, the order that you do the drawing in. So the way I do it, I break it down into little tiny bits and I show kids how to do it a tiny bit at a time. So, a circle here or a rectangle there. And, by the end, it makes this picture of this character or whatever it is. And the kids are always, at my live events, the kids are always really, really impressed with what they do. So I knew there was a real opportunity there for children who don't think they're good at drawing to produce this really brilliant artwork. And that's what's been happening. So I get sent so many hundreds and hundreds of pictures, every single week of these kids really proudly holding up their drawings. I think a lot of people have really re-engaged with their artistic side, which has been fantastic.
Now, lots of students say to me exactly that. They say, Mr. Bates, I can't draw. Well, they can draw. What would you say to those children who say they can't draw?
it's not like maths. There's no right or wrong answer. It's not a binary thing, it's a subjective thing, which means that, everything is as good as everything else. It's just a matter of kind of taste, of what your brain has conditioned you into thinking is a good drawing isn't necessarily a good drawing. And in fact, I like it when I make mistakes, when something goes wrong. I try and draw a circle and it's a bit wonky. They're the bits they're my favorite bits of a picture. They're the kind of bits that add charm. You don't want a piece of art to be perfect. You want to see a smudge mark or a brush mark here or there. That makes it look like it's been created by a human and not a robot. So, mistakes are good.
Fantastic. Now, I've got a question here from Lottie in London, and she asks, you have taught so many people to draw. Who taught you to draw?
Oh, Lottie, that is a very good question. I don't know if anyone actually sat down and taught me to draw, but certainly my mum is a very, very good artist, very talented painter. And so when I was a kid, when I was very young, there was always drawing equipment around the house. And we were always, I think my mum must have sat down to draw with us when we were like 2 or 3 years old. I think ever since I can remember, I've always been drawing at home. And in those days, there were less distractions, I guess. So I drew a lot at the time. I was either playing football or drawing when I was a kid. So, yeah, I guess that's where it came from, my mum.
Now, I know you've got a few books out at the moment and some rolling out for Christmas, including your activity book, which looks fantastic. But there's a book called Dog Gone. Now, I've got a little dog called Mabel. Can you tell me a little bit about the book and what's the message inside?
This is it. This is Dog Gone. So it's all about this chap here whose name is Edward Pugglesworth, Teddy for short. And you can see here he's saying the day I lost my human. So it's all about, in my world, it's not humans that own dogs, it's dogs that own humans. I've got a dog, Ringo, of my own, and he very much calls the shots. I don't take him for a walk, he takes me for a walk. And it's the same in this book. And it's told from the point of view of this little pug. He takes his human out for a walk, and then he loses his human. What actually happens is Teddy here chases some squirrels and gets lost in the park. That's actually what happens. But it's told from his point of view. So he loses his human, and in the process of finding his human again, he learns a very important lesson about kindness. See, I'd like to have a little message sort of hidden in my stories, sort of underneath the surface. So yeah, it's a fun one. I like it.
Oh, that looks so good. Thanks, Rob. That's definitely going on my Christmas list. Now, I believe you've got a little bit of a task for the Shed School crew today, all about the theme of being bouncy.
Right then, Shed School, this is my task for you, if you are equal to this task, that is. So I thought it might be fun for you to design your very own dinosaur. And this dinosaur is going to be called the Bounce Backosaurus. Okay. Now, if you need a bit of help designing your dinosaur, nip onto YouTube, have a look at my Draw with Rob channel. You'll find, I think there's 4 or 5 dinosaur videos there that I've drawn. You could maybe follow them to get the basic shape of your dinosaur. But then I really want you to customize your own dinosaur. Horns, spine things, spiky bits, big long tails, little dinosaurs, whatever you want. But in some way, I want it to reflect visually your dinosaur's bounce back ability, its resilience. And then what I thought might be fun is if you had to go at writing a little story about your dinosaur and about how your dinosaur bounces back. What do you think? Can you do that?
That's awesome, Sauce. Thanks, Rob. We'll see you again soon. Bye.